welcome to Stopping Goliath. My name is J Kimmel, and today we're going to be discussing a 2-year-old being sentenced to life in prison. There are links to 3 articles in the description of this video that you can go check out later. And if you think others should know this truth, please like this video, comment. We would love to know what you think about this topic, what you can add to the conversation, and subscribe to our channel. If you do subscribe, hit that notify bell and you'll be the first to know every time we drop a new video. And please share this not only on YouTube, but also on your other social media so that others see this important story. So now let's look at 2 separate events, and let's look at the most extreme first. According to the US State Department, so this is our government saying this, North Korea has sentenced a 2-year-old to life in prison, and not just a regular prison, a prison camp for hard labor, because his parents were caught with a Bible. You see, if Christians in North Korea are found possessing a Bible, they face the death penalty, and family members, including children, are sentenced to life in prison. And this came out of a report by the US State Department, which included an incident where this 2-year-old literally has been sentenced to life in prison, a life of hard labor at 2 years old. I mean, we can't even imagine that. I think it's also hard for us to imagine that 70,000 Christians are incarcerated in North Korea. And by the way, about 70% of them are female. All right. And they face extremely harsh conditions, including physical mistreatment. According to this 2022, this is a recent study. This is not like old news. This is current. Okay. So the North Korean government engages in severe persecution of Christians who practice religious rituals, who own religious items like a Bible. That's what this man and his wife were guilty of, or associate with religious individuals. You don't even have to agree with them, just associate with someone who's a known Christian, and that can get you life in prison. And punishments range from arrest and detention to torture, forced labor, deportation, and they put it the denial of the right to life. In other words, death for being a Christian. A 2021 report showed that interviews of 151 Christian women showed rampant abuse of religious freedoms, forced labor, sexual violence, arbitrary detention, torture, and deportation being the most common forms of maltreatment. And there are educational materials that people have smuggled out of North Korea. In other words, things printed by the Korean government that are anti-religious. And if you can believe this, it says that people who have escaped those countries, these Christian missionaries who have gotten in and gotten out, and characterize them as committing evil deeds such as rape, organ harvesting, and murder. In other words, these missionaries who try to go in and help people have been characterized as rapists and organ stealers. Can you imagine such a thing? North Korea's constitution officially recognizes Christianity and allows Christians to pursue their faith. But the truth is, they have churches erected, first of all, that don't actually teach the Christian faith. They're run by the government, and the government will point to them as proof that they allow Christians to practice their faith, but everybody knows they're simply showpieces for foreigners so that they don't know what's really going on inside those walls. So now we're going to move from that extreme example of extreme persecution of Christians to a story right here in the United States. The Pines Church in Bangor, Maine, needed a new place to worship on Sundays. They were outgrowing their current meeting space, and so they applied to a local school board to use a high school gym for its services. And they were denied the right to use the gym after board members inquired about the congregation's views on hot button issues like same-sex marriage, abortion, and transgenderism. Of course, public institutions that seek to lease their facilities for revenue should not be able to discriminate based on our religious freedoms. None of us can do that. They shouldn't be able to do it either. So the Herman School Committee has a history of leasing this property to secular organizations. They do it all the time. But this church was turned away simply because it didn't agree with their theology. Chris McLaughlin, a school board member, asked the Pine Church about its approach toward issues impacting marginalized communities, including their stance on same-sex marriage, specifically access to abortion, gender-affirming care, conversion therapy, aka counseling for unwanted same-sex attraction, and inclusive sexual education. The church, of course, believes these were attempts to rule them out of being able to lease the building, which is exactly what has happened. So now, under their rights under the First Amendment, they're suing the school board to get the ability to use that facility. Obviously, we hope that they win their fight. So North Korea is at one end of the persecution spectrum. We're far from there on the other side of the spectrum, but we're rapidly moving in that direction. Luke chapter 21, verses 29 and 30 tell us that we need to be aware of the season that we're in. We need to pay attention to what's happening around us so that we'll know when the end times are near. And if you know anything at all about history, if you know anything at all about socialist governments, communist governments, any tyrannical regime, they follow the same pattern. There are three things that they always do. They remove your freedom to speak freely. They remove your freedom of speech. Then they remove the freedom to defend yourself. That's our Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms here in this country. And then they remove the freedom of religion. Here in the USA, we are seeing an attack on all three of those categories as we speak today. So what can we do about it? What can you and I, just everyday Christians, what can we do about it? As always, the first thing we need to be doing is praying. We need to be praying, first of all, for those who are living in places that are far more persecuted than we are here at home. In Nigeria, hundreds of people every single month are being murdered simply because they call Jesus their Lord and Savior. We need to be praying for them. We need to be praying for those people in North Korea, the people in Afghanistan. But we also need to be praying for us right here at home, especially those of us who are standing up for our freedoms. Pray that people would be brave to stand up for what's right. And I hope that people around us will decide which side they're on. And I hope you will do the same. I hope you will decide that you're either on Jesus' side or you're not. Which side are you on? You know, Jesus said he hates people being lukewarm. He would rather us be hot or cold. Being lukewarm is not okay. Are you going to stand up and defend Christ, or are you just going to turn away? I hope you will make the choice to stand with us and defend him. And of course, if you want to continue to defend him, you can share this video with your friends, with your family, subscribe to our channel, hit that notify bell, and you'll know every time we drop a new video so that you can share it with your friends. Please do not wait until it's too late. Our freedoms are eroding. Stand up now while you still can.